How's it going, everyone? Today we have some mini chollas, which look a lot like the larger chollas, just a smaller version of them. Kind of synonymous with being very painful plant to deal with. However, it seems like these smaller ones that the needles are not quite as aggressive, and if you see here, I just touch it with my bare hands and I only think I got stuck one time making this video. These are not nearly as aggressive as the torch cactus that I also have. So I'm just separating the three of them here, and then I get all the soil off. Well, not all of it, most of it. Didn't want to do too much damage to the roots, since the soil was particularly dry. I usually let the soil dry out a bit before repotting just because the soil comes off easier of the roots, but obviously this being the cactus, it was pretty much completely dry soil, and the roots were quite dry as well, so I didn't want to break them off. So I didn't use any tools to do this. I just sort of broke it apart with my hands gently. The largest one I put in the small container so it can grow on its own, and the other two I put as sort of a landscape in this larger container, which round containers are not usually ideal for landscapes, but it seemed to work okay in the end. You'll see the result. I actually think this is one of the more interesting species that I have, since it does look quite miniature. When you really look at it up close, it looks like, just a cactus that you shrunk down in size. All sorts of branches starting on these, so not really sure what to do about that, because I'm sure it'll cause swelling and inverse taper and whatnot. This is the one that I used for the smaller container. So in the bottom I put a drainage screen, and then I use a very coarse mix, you can see there, of bricks, crushed bricks, rocks, small pebbles, and perlite. Use that as the base layer, and then I added a layer on top of that, a sort of finer inorganic mix of turfus and perlite. It's quite hot out doing this, even though it's early in the morning when I recorded this video. It's about 90 degrees outside. I wasn't worried about the temperature repotting these cactus, because if there's anything that can sort of take hot temperatures, it's these cactus. Even some people will leave them to dry out when doing cuttings and all that and repotting them. I don't personally do that. I sort of treat it like I would any plant. I put it in a shady spot afterwards and water it. These, though, you do not want to water before the soil is dry. You want to let it dry out in between. Otherwise, they will rot. It's the first one potted up, and then in the end I put some rocks and sand over the top. See, that's the sort of coarse mix that I use. And in this one I put a lot more of that just because it's a deeper container, so. One problem that I do have with the turfus is that it does seem to break apart pretty fast, but it seems like if you have enough perlite in there, it sort of keeps it nice and granular. When making a landscape, the tallest of your plants, you want that to be in the front, and it sort of creates a forced perspective where it seems like the landscape is a lot further than it is with the shorter ones in the back. So you can see the shorter one there is in the back. It's on the left from your view, but I wanted to be able to see what I was setting up, so I put the front towards my perspective. I did have a little bit of trouble getting these to stand upright. There was not very many roots. I do know that a lot of times cactus can make a lot of roots. Different types of cacti can make thick ball of roots, and I don't know how old these cuttings were. I got them from Home Depot, I think, and so I'm not sure how long they had been in the containers. It didn't seem like there was very many roots on there. Apparently, just like most of the different types of cactus, these root pretty easily from cutting, so I will be making a lot more of these in the future. These cactus don't really ever get very big. Biggest one I saw was sort of a small bush. However, the larger choyas will grow into be a tree, basically. just sort of placing the rocks kind of randomly around the two different cactus here, creating sort of a slope, which, you know, arguably makes it a little harder to water. However, I do think it makes it look a lot nicer. And once you do the first watering and get everything sort of settled in there, it gets a lot easier to keep it watered without it spilling over the sides. That's one of the drawbacks with using sand on the surface of your soil, is that water can take a minute to drain through it. So basically I just dump a whole bunch of sand on top, and then when you water it, it fills in all the nooks and crannies and covers up the perlite and turfus mix. Here I'm just giving it a water, getting all the sand settled in there. I do wish that I had some other sort of accent plants to use. However, I just don't know what would work since these are so miniature. I don't really know of any leafy plants that I could sort of use to mimic those desert shrubs, like the creosote bush and things like that. I mean, I do live close to the native habitat of where these Chollas live. But I just don't think that those shrubs would work that great as miniature. At least to be convincing with something this size. So in the future I might find something to put in here, but for now it's just these two cactus. Which, you know, the desert is sort of barren and it's not exactly loaded with plants. But I don't know. There's sort of the final product there. You can see there's an awful lot of branches, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with those, like I said, so. And here I'm gonna finish the sort of top dressing on these two, and putting some small pebbles and rocks around this little cactus, and then I sprinkle some sand on top and water it, and there you go. Alright everyone, that's pretty much it. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give a thumbs up. And subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. See you next time.